What's up, everybody? Jonathan94 here. Welcome back to another episode of Ben Builds. So we are starting Season 2 of this video series, where we are going to begin a brand new kit. So let's go ahead and dive right on in. Now, you may recall about, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, something along those lines, I had posed a question to everyone who was following me there on YouTube and anyone who happened to pass by and wanted to chime in on it. I had asked a very specific question: what I should build next. And the votes are in. We have tabulated the votes. We have figured out who won. It was a pretty close run for a good while there between the F-105 and the P-38. But the winner is the F-105 Thunderchief. This won only by one vote. One vote. I mean, that's a very close margin. I want to say thank you to everybody who took the time to go ahead and vote, to leave a comment, to click a like button, just to let me know what they wanted to see me build. And I'm going to tell you, it was a very, very close race between the P-38 and the F-105. The F-105D won out by one vote. So what I actually might do is I'm going to start the 105 today, but I actually might start the P-38 as well, coming up in a couple of weeks, just so that I can go ahead and get some 105 stuff done. I can move on to the P-38 and we'll build them simultaneously. Why not? I mean, everyone really wanted to see these, the 105 or the P-38. So why don't we build both of them, right? But today we're just going to focus on the 105. So let's go ahead and open this bad boy up, take a look at what we have to do first. We're not going to need the decals. We won't need the color code out right now. Let's put the parts aside here. Let's go ahead and see what we have in the instruction manual. I'm using a different modeling setup today. This is actually a larger table because this is a pretty big kit, and I'd like to be a little bit more well lit. So hopefully this won't be too bad. There's a light right above us. Hopefully the shadows will be decent. So what do we have to do today? Well, as always, the beginning of the model kit usually starts out in the flight control center, the cockpit area. We've got seats, we've got the cockpit tub, we've got the instrument panels. We move on to the engine. And let's see the parts real quick, what we have here. Okay, there's the instrument panel there, some parts of the seat. There's the cockpit hood. Let's see what else we got here. There's the sidewall, there's the cockpit tub itself, and some of these side controls. So let's go ahead, let's get started. Okay, first things first, we are going to go ahead and assemble the major parts, and then we're going to worry about painting and all of that stuff. Because the cockpit actually is a gray color, we have mixed up a little bit of this. This is just some Tamiya white with some Gunzy dark gray. We'll do about that a little later. Today, let's go ahead and let's build up some of the parts. So, without further ado, we have our flush cuts, we have a hobby knife, we have our packet of files down here, if we need them. Brand new hobby knife. So, let's start assembling. Let's see, first we're going to build the chair itself. So we're going to slice off some of these parts. There's one. That's 16. This is 17. There we go. We're also going to need the backing to that, which is going to be F-43. 43 is right here. Okay. And we're going to need, let's see, F-46 right up here. All right. Let's go ahead and let's start assembly. We're going to use, again, Tamiya extra thin cement. This stuff is absolutely fantastic. Just a little bit there. And a little bit here. A little bit of extra thin cement. And we're going to place this together. There we go. Let's also put the rear in there. And this is going to be a little tricky. There we go. It's not too bad. A little bit of the cement here in the back and on the sides. Get that nice and glued in there. Like that. Now we gotta get the front section on here. Glue this on like that. Okay. Pretty good. Set that off to the side to go ahead and dry. Let's work a little bit on the cockpit tub itself. Gonna need this right here. Cut that out, cut that out. We're also gonna need the side walls. We'll leave 9 clipped on so I don't get them confused. Good enough. Good enough. Alright, this looks pretty good. Let's clear this little section off right here, like that. Okay, let's see. So 8 is going to go on this side. Right in there. Just clear this off here. And it's going to go right like that. Yeah, doesn't look too bad. Now just a little bit of glue on the side here. And glued. What we're going to do is we're going to get all the major sub-assemblies put together. And then we're going to come back through and we're going to use our airbrush color. We're going to set up the airbrush and we're going to go ahead and airbrush the whole thing at one time. Therefore, we don't have to recreate a bunch of paint and redo a bunch of stuff. We can just hit it straight out. Let's get the rear bulkhead. Get that clipped off. Now, how is this going to fit? This is going to fit just like this. It's right up in here. Yeah, that's not too bad actually. We're going to have to go ahead and do a little bit of sanding right here on the side to make sure it fits into that area right there. Right there. Give it another little dry fit here. Yeah, that's way better. A little bit of glue here. Capillary effect ought to get that in there. Nice. Just go ahead and hold it. Get it set. This is a very over-engineered kit. For a 1/48 scale, it's very, very over-engineered. We've got engine detail, though it is a little bit Spartan, but we do have a bunch of engine detail. We have here on the wings, we have all the flaps, all the flaperons. There's a lot of stuff here on the tops of these wings that have to be hand placed. The Vulcan cannon door is open. The nose can be opened as well. We have the mid-air refueling probe open also. I don't really want to have that open, to be honest. I'm kind of thinking I'm going to close everything up. Keep everything nice and closed. Have a nice, clean, on-the-ground aircraft. I don't want everything hanging open. Though it would be really cool to have, but I don't want to pull the engine out to display it because there's no way to attach the back to the front of the aircraft. So I don't want to do that. And I don't want to have the Vulcan cannon hanging open necessarily because that would have to go ahead and detail the Vulcan cannon bay in there. Have to have wires and all sorts of things. Of course, actually fitting the weapons and all that would be a little difficult as well, but we'll get to that later. That's all in good time. So what else can we do for the cockpit? We can also put in the flight stick. So let's find that. Let's see what we're looking at. We're looking at A13. That says F. This should be A here. This is A. And the flight control stick, right here. Well, let's go ahead and take A15 out of here too. And let's just drop this straight down into it like this. The chair is actually going to sit in here. And we're going to need to go ahead and clip off a little bit of the flash here. There we go. Now this is going to go bend forward right there. Nice. While the cockpit and the seat are drawing off to the side, we are actually going to build the engine here. So this is the section that we're going to work on right now. I've already mentioned this. This is a really, really over-engineered kit. I mean, we're talking just tons and tons of parts and things you're never going to see because they're going to be hidden in the fuselage. So we're actually going to leave off a lot of these excess parts. And we're just going to build the very basic. I want it to look good from the outside. I don't really care what's on the inside necessarily. Good. Let's go ahead and start assembly. Like I said, I'm not really that interested in having this all open and, you know, displayed on the outside of the aircraft. It's just I'm not interested in that, so I'm not going to do it. So all of these extra parts and pieces and wiring, I'm not going to do that. We are good to go. So that is the engine as it is. You know, you're not really going to see a whole lot of the engine. It's going to be buried way in the back of the fuselage, but the engine is more or less done. Now, there's a lot of little extra parts that we, I guess, could put on here, but why would we want to? It's going to be completely sealed up in the entire back of the fuselage. So what good would it be to really do anything like that at all? I don't know.
I was looking at some reference photos for this cockpit tub here, and I don't like the way it looks in the back. So I'm thinking of adding a little more detail to it. And to do that, I'm going to need to scratch build some stuff. So first thing I was thinking of doing is taking sprue and a candle, and let's give a little bit of a try here for stretching sprue. If you heat up sprue and you start to kind of stretch it very, very gently, adding equal tension until we reach a certain point where we can't stretch anymore, and then just hold it. There we go. So we have some stretched sprue there.
Okay, we are back. I've been working a little bit off camera. Let me show you what I have come up with. The first thing we have here is our cockpit tub. I've added a little bit pieces here and there of some tubing and some piping, and added a few things in there just to kind of spice it up a bit. It may not be 100% correct, but I think it's going to give a little bit of, I guess, character to the actual tub itself. I've also taken the liberty of adding a little bit more interest to the ejection seat here. Added a few more, I don't know what these are called here, just added a few more pieces of, I guess, what would be metal. Is it 100% correct? No, probably not. But it's going to be good enough. And so when we go ahead and put this seat into the cockpit tub, we come up with something that looks a little bit like this, which I think all in all is going to be just fine. We're going to have to test and make sure how it looks in the actual side of the fuselage, but for now, we're good with that. We're going to let that dry, let that cure, and we're going to get on with some more assembly. So we have done the cockpit, we have done the engine. Now we're going to get up onto the next section here, which is to build the gun and some of the front nose area. I'm going to fool around with this mid-air refueling probe because I actually want to keep it closed. So we're going to cut out this fuselage using our flush cuts. Man, that is a big fuselage, I'll tell you. God, look at the size of that. So we were actually contemplating putting in the mid-air refueling probe. Basically, we need to blanket off somehow. Now let's go ahead and find these doors. Let's find G18, G20, G15, and G14. And I'm going to see how this actually sits. Grab styrene and let's just cut it. So now if we put this down in here, like that, it does block it off, which is nice. And then we could build it up using other strips of styrene, which just might get us where we need to be. So let's go ahead and we're going to use a little bit of the extra thin cement, at least start the gluing process here. Nice, look at that. Okay, cool. The mid-air refueling probe is on. Now we're going to wait for that to dry. We're going to come back in, we're going to give it a little bit of a sand with some of our sanding paper, and we are going to be good to go for that. Now while I have a little bit left in the camera, let's go ahead and do the rear tail section. Now the rear tail section is going to be like anything else. We're going to cut the pieces off, sand them down using my jeweler file here, make sure they're nice and flush and smooth and that everything pieces together with very minimal seams. And what we can also worry about too is there is a couple extra parts here. For example, there is the arrestor hook, which you do have to put in, and there is a different backing to the inside depending on if you're going to have the engine exposed or if you're going to have the engine closed. Like I said before, we're not going to display the engine open. We're just going to go about our business, finish this up. I'm going to call it quits for today. Next time we'll come on back, we'll continue where we left off, do a little airbrushing, and get the next couple of areas done here for the 105. So far it's been a lot of fun. Really looking forward to seeing how this thing is going to come together. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here on the next Ben Builds.